for them. You seen the United game? No, what score is it? Losing to... Oh, nice. Right, so do you think we'll see a pullback in Bitcoin soon before pushing? So, yeah, that's a good one to start on, I guess. I was going to cover that on Friday just because that's the sort of the market recap that I'm going to do, but we'll take a look at it now. So, as you probably know if you're following Bitcoin, pumping again, broke through this resistance, which was the previous highs resistance. Obviously, it'll change on what sort of exchange you use, just because it's not centralized, so it's not one price. Oh yeah, that'd help, wouldn't it? Let me share. Sorry about that. Yeah, so as you can see, broke up and it's obviously had a tiny little pullback here, but it broke highs. Current high according to Bitstamps around 67k. Yeah, to answer your question, I would like a pullback somewhere around this sort of area, the 61k, just because it was such strong resistance last time. Obviously we don't want to keep continuously going up. We haven't really had sort of a major pullback since sort of end of September, beginning of October. So a nice little pullback here for a couple of days, probably a week. It'd be nice. Obviously it might not happen and we might just continue to go up. The Bitcoin ETFs releasing, they were really helpful because it basically sort of recognised Bitcoin as not a scam in sort of legal terms now. But yeah, so to answer your question, I'd like a pullback. I can't say if there will be one as such, but yeah, I think personally for like longer growth instead of just a pump, a pullback would be nice towards the sort of the 60, 61.5, 62k area. Yeah, so today's lesson, well, I put it in the announcements before, but if you didn't know, so we're going to be going over a couple of things. The first one will be different types of wallets. So I've had a few guys message me saying that they can't get a certain coin in a certain wallet. So I'll be covering that. Then I'll be using covering a couple of sort of investment strategies that I use when like getting into coins, such as sort of your dollar cost averaging, and like taking profit, stuff like that. And then I'll also be so I covered a bit last week on Bitcoin dominance, but I had a few messages throughout the week just saying, can you cover it again? Can you explain it a bit more? So this week I'm going to be covering how Bitcoin dominance you can use it to sort of estimate how the market's going to react as it goes up or down, as it stays level, for example. And finally, we'll be looking at the Metaverse. So if you've been sort of in the news recently, you'll have seen Facebook's hiring 10,000 people, I think it was, to develop on the Metaverse. And they're also trying to change the name, I found out today, from Facebook to, I'm not sure what they're changing it to. But that's what I've read in the paper. Yeah, so we'll get onto wallets first. So there's two types of wallets. You can have a hot wallet or a cold wallet. So a hot wallet would be sort of like if you're keeping it on Binance, for example, where it's online, and you can sort of access it through the internet. Obviously, hot wallets are then susceptible to sort of your hackings, stuff like that. Like if someone gets a hold of your account, they can get into your crypto. So they're not as safe as cold wallets. But that's not to say that they're not safe, because obviously, if they weren't safe, they wouldn't be around. But if you're going to sort of invest your money quite heavily into crypto, I would highly recommend getting a cold wallet, just because it's a lot safer. So a cold wallet is offline storage of your cryptos. It can't store every coin, but the most popular ones, so like your Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, stuff like that, your large caps, and some mid and small caps, they'll be able to store offline. So we'll have a look at one first. So there's two versions of it. There's the Ledger Nano X and the Ledger Nano S. The Nano X is the sort of the smaller version. So the Ledger Nano X can carry, I think it's 9 cryptos on it. It's sort of like a USB. So the Ledger Nano X can carry 21 cryptos. The Ledger Nano S can carry 9 cryptos. It's like a USB stick, and it's basically just a little wallet. You transfer your crypto onto there, and then it's offline. It can't be accessed unless you connect it back to the internet. It's like a wire you plug into your laptop, PC, something like that. I use these for years now. They're very safe, very reliable, and at the moment they're the best cold wallet around. There are other ones, but for the price you're getting for this, obviously it's a bit more on this. This one's on the expensive side just because it can hold more cryptos, whereas the Ledger Nano S is 54. So it's if you're investing sort of a couple of thousand, take £50 away and just buy one of these. It's very like safe. Basically keeps your things safe. It's a jewel. It's not a jewel, I'm afraid, Tommy. You can't be smoking on this. It's to store your crypto. But yeah, definitely recommend looking into getting a Nano S, especially if you're like a long-term holder. Just keeps it safe. Leading on to that, it's the different wallets are on different networks. So, for example, we'll look at MetaMask. MetaMask is used on the Ethereum network. It can also be connected to other networks now, but it's mainly the Ethereum one. So when you first set it up, you'll only be on it's the main Ethereum network. I'm not sure if you can see that there. I can't actually show mine just because it's got some stuff on it. Yeah, main Ethereum network will come as like the default, and then you can add other networks, but it's a bit, if you're sort of new to crypto, it's a bit tricky, just because you've got to know what stuff to put in. If you're wanting to do that though, there are videos on YouTube, or if you just ping me, I'll walk you through it. But there are other sort of options if you don't want to do that, such as Trust Wallet. So this one's for the BSC network or the Binance network. This one's really good. All of these wallets are I've tested them all and I've used them all at one point. So they're all safe and good to use. This one's for the Binance network. You can also connect this to Ethereum again, but at default it is the Binance BSC. So that's one for the Binance network, and then the next one, I'll show you Solano just because a few people have asked. It's called Phantom. This is my favourite, obviously. There's more, but these are just the ones that I've used previously and I've liked. So Phantom again, Solano network, this one only. So if you're wanting to get into sort of your Solano NFT projects or something like that, look into Phantom. There's obviously more of them, but I prefer this one just because it's the easiest to use and it's the most secure I've found. But apart from that, if you're looking for any other networks, if you just type in on Google wallets for such and such network, there'll be plenty that come up. If you don't think that's safe, if you just PM me what network it is, and I'll go and find you one. Most of them are free. So like your Phantom one's free, MetaMask is free, whereas your Ledger, it's not free obviously, just because it's a cold wallet. All the other ones I've shown you then were hot wallets. So there's a bit more risk, but it's not like it's not like someone's gonna drain your account tomorrow. It's not that sort of risk. It's just in case, in the very very odd chance that something happens, it's not as safe as having them stored offline. Yeah, does anyone have any questions on those wallets, or everyone get that? Got any for Q? So KuCoin has them built in. It's like Binance. So when you buy a crypto on KuCoin, it'll automatically store into a wallet on KuCoin, and then you can withdraw from KuCoin onto another wallet, and then you can also deposit into the KuCoins. So they've got them like built in. I'd always recommend taking, if you're holding them long, if you're just day trading, obviously you can keep them in, but if you're holding cryptos long, I'd always recommend to withdraw them to preferably a cold wallet if you have one. If not, then a separate hot wallet, so sort of like your MetaMask or your Phantom. Perfect. So next thing we'll go on to is so sort of my investing strategy when I'm getting into cryptos. So one thing you should never do is, say if I call a coin, I don't know, we'll just say I call Bitcoin. Never go all in. It's one of probably the worst things you can do, obviously, because if you buy here and then it comes down to here, you're going to be wondering why. You're going to be pretty pissed off at the end of the day. 2-1. Who scored? Took my time to do this. Lancer, it's on BT. Yeah, so say I've called it here at the bottom, say 40k, just to make the numbers round. I'd say I use a strategy where I have 5 points where I'm going to buy in. Now, obviously, not all of them they're not all gonna hit. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I add more than the 5, but 5 is what I set out to sort of set my targets at. So say I've called it here, I either do it in percent or I do it in numbers. So I'd go 5% down firstly. So I've got 20% in here. This is where I've called it. This is where I first entered. I've got 20%. I'd go 5% down. I'd add another 20%. Then I'd go 15%. And then go 25%, 35%, 45%, until I've reached however much I'm satisfied with. I usually don't go more than 50%, because by the time it's got there, it's usually fucking dead anyway. But as I say, that's sort of your dollar cost averaging method, and when you're doing that, what you're basically doing is lowering your average. So if you buy in here and go all in, but I've gone buy here, buy here, buy here, my average will be a lot lower, so it'll be around there probably, just because I've been buying more as it goes down. Whilst I'm doing this as well, I'll always try and, especially if it's sort of like a safer place, so if it's on Bitcoin, I'll add a bit more as well. So I won't enter with, I'll enter with probably say $100 here, and then I go 110, 120, 140, and so on. With your riskier plays though, obviously keep your risk managed, keep your funds that you invest in quite small, just because again they're riskier. Crypto is highly volatile. And then with stop losses, I never really set a firm stop loss. I just keep it in mind about where I want it. So if I was to enter at 40k, I'd usually have my stop loss somewhere around 35k. So it's around the sort of the 12-13% mark. Just because if I was to set a stop loss at 3%, Bitcoin could hit there and then go straight back up. That's how volatile it is. And that could happen within an hour, within 10 minutes, within 2 days. It just depends on what it does or how long I'm holding it for. But yeah, that's basically the way that I invest. And then taking profits. So I've got 3 levels that I always try and stick to. Again, it's sort of a loose guide. Obviously, if a coin's pumping, then I'll always leave it to run. But if it's sort of struggling to break these barriers, I'll always try and take some out. So the first one, it'd be about 25%. So it'd be sort of around, I don't know, is it 50k? 50k up here. Then it'd be 50%, so up at 60k, and then it'd be 75%, and then anything at 100%, I just sort of play it by eye then, because if it's gone up 100%, it's most likely going to keep pumping. So that's sort of how I play it with the safer plays, because the safer plays aren't going to pump as much as the riskier plays, obviously because they're safer. With the riskier plays, I always like to try and leave them to run a bit further. So the first target I set is 50%, just because my riskier plays are usually the ones that give me higher rewards. So if I let them run further, I'm going to get a bit more out of the trade than I would at taking out at 25%. Again, it's riskier, so I'd recommend going in a bit lighter, but it's worked for me so far. Obviously, if you find your own ways of doing it, I'd encourage you to do them. But I'm just telling you a couple of ways that I do it. Does anyone have any questions about those strategies, or if they want me to check theirs out? Perfect. So the next thing I'm going to cover is the Bitcoin dominance. So last week I mentioned it not quite quickly, I went over it a bit. Into coin market cap, I'll just get it up. So the Bitcoin dominance, it basically shows how much Bitcoin is being traded compared to the other cryptos. So at the moment, obviously this is way back in sort of 2015, where Bitcoin was your only real major crypto. We won't ever see these like 90% again. So as you can see, as Bitcoin dominance goes down, the others go up, the other dominance. So that means these are being traded more in comparison to Bitcoin. Obviously Bitcoin's going to be traded the most because it's the biggest market cap at the moment. But this black one is Ethereum, and obviously that got pretty close. What's that? July 2017 in the summer. That's others. So all the other whatever ones that aren't in there. So a couple of things to follow with this. It's not a sort of a set rule, but it's it gives you a good general idea of what's going to happen. So you just get a Google Docs up. Right. So you've got three things we're going to be looking at. So it's BTCD is Bitcoin dominance, and then we're going to go across. We're going to go to BTC. Oops. BTC, and then we're going to do alts. So when Bitcoin dominance is going up, this is a general rule again. It's not sort of a definite. And Bitcoin's going up. Generally, the alt prices will go down. Just how it works. Obviously, because Bitcoin's pumping, Bitcoin dominance is going up. Bitcoin's being traded more than the other coins. The alts are going to go down. So it's quite simple. If Bitcoin dominance is going up, but Bitcoin price is going down, can anyone guess what's going to happen? Apparently not. It's going to dump. So if the Bitcoin dominance is going up, but the Bitcoin price is going down, people are selling the Bitcoin. Just because the Bitcoin dominance goes up doesn't mean it's a good thing. People could be trading Bitcoin more to sell the Bitcoin as well, which means that the alts will go down because Bitcoin is going down. The next one is if Bitcoin's dominance is going up, however Bitcoin is staying stable, the alts will also stay stable. That type. That's just because if Bitcoin doesn't go up, but the Bitcoin dominance is going up, it shows a lot of sort of neutral buy-in and selling pressure. Obviously that's not good for alts because it doesn't show strength really for the alt market. The next one is if Bitcoin dominance goes down, but Bitcoin's price goes up. The alts, this is the alt season. This is when alts start to pump. This is where you see your 10, 20x's in weeks, even on the large caps. This is just because Bitcoin dominance is going down, so Bitcoin's not being traded as much. Alts are being traded more. Bitcoin price is going up, which shows a lot of buy pressure. The alts are going to boom as well because they're getting traded more. Bitcoin's in a good condition. and it's going up. So that one there is quite a good one to look out for, because that usually indicates when alt season's happening. So yeah, next one, if Bitcoin goes down, Bitcoin dominance goes down, sorry, and Bitcoin goes down, the alts will usually stay stable, just because they're being traded more. Even though Bitcoin's price is going down, it's not going to plummet. In this scenario, this is where you sort of, it's just your off days where it's going 2% down. Your alts will stay stable just because they're being traded more, there's more buying and selling going on. And then the last one is if the Bitcoin dominance goes down, but Bitcoin oh my gosh, I can't type, but Bitcoin stays stable, the alts will go up. Obviously, Bitcoin's not being traded, Bitcoin's staying stable, so it's equal buying and selling, and the alts will then go up. Just because they're being traded more, Bitcoin sort of staying at that same price. There's more buying going on. Does anyone have any questions on that so far? Perfect. So the main thing to note with this is it's not a major thing that you need to follow. I check it just because it's quite useful, sort of at the end of the week, just to have a quick look, see if it's going up or down. But in the short term, it's not that detrimental. If you go more long term, it is a good indicator to use, just to see, one, what's being traded more, and two, where Bitcoin's price could potentially go. So if you're sort of looking at your longer time frames of months and years, definitely take this into account. If you're short term, I won't worry about it too much. But yeah, that's about it for the Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, so last thing, I'm going to talk about the Metaverse. So the Metaverse, put shortly, is sort of your online reality, like your virtual reality, VR and AR, stuff like that, which in the next decade will revolutionise the gaming industry, or the next couple of decades, simply because as more people move to sort of your online things instead of, I guess you can call it online now, but more meaningful gaming, I guess you could say, sort of your virtual reality games, this metaverse will start to expand at crazy rates, and the NFT market in this will boom. So the metaverse and the NFTs are linked, because there are games out there at the moment that you can play now, and earn NFTs. That, I forgot what I was going to say. I'll just go back. On the metaverse that you can play, you can sort of earn your NFT, whatever it may be, a sword or something, a piece of clothing, and you can either keep it for in-game playing. So if it's a sword, you can keep it and kill people with it or something. If you want to sell it, obviously there's got to be a marketplace for it first of all. So if you're playing on sort of, we'll just say Engine for now. If you're playing on the Engine network, you can go onto their marketplace, take your sword in, and sell it for however many Engine tokens it'd be, and then you can withdraw it for some profit. So I wouldn't say it's passive income, because obviously you're playing a game, but if you enjoy playing the game, you're getting NFTs for it. I mean, if I was playing a game and getting like free NFTs for it, getting paid as such, I'd be happy. The games I've played at the moment, I've not really enjoyed any of them, just because they're still in early development. But the project I showed you the other week, Decimated, that one looks really interesting. And also Nakamoto Games, the coin that did a 50x on launch, that one's another interesting one. And they're the only two at the moment, along with Bosun, obviously. That's in my top 10 cryptos. Them three are the ones that are sort of leading the forefront of the gaming world. and revolutionising what we will be playing soon. So keep an eye out for those three. As I said, if you tuned in yesterday to mine and Stock Curry's live stream, I talked a bit about Engine and Bosun. Engine's got a partnership with Minecraft, which is currently pretty huge. If they continue, if they develop a game, which would be insane if they did, they could potentially be as big as Minecraft one day. So it's all about getting in early and finding these projects early. The ones that are gonna take off. Like if you got into Engine like last year when I called it. Obviously, I never knew that NFTs were going to be as big as they are today, but I knew that they were going to have some sort of influence, and they went parabolic, really, the market. But it's all about finding the projects that you think will solve a real world problem, and that when I'm looking for cryptos, that's the thing that I look for. It's sort of a no-brainer, really, but it's the way to make your money. Obviously, it's a more risky investment because the new projects can fold in the matter of days or weeks. But that's where your gains could be at. And if you sort of find one and you look at it, do you DD into it and don't invest, and then in 10 years you come back to it and they now own Microsoft, it's sort of a bit of a shit feeling, I guess. But as I say, that's why I sort of provide the DD that I do into the Discord, just so you can read it. Obviously, you don't have to invest in them. Can't tell you to, but if I put something in, it's not just because I'm doing it to put something out. It's because I personally like them a lot. Yeah, what three are called again? So the one's called Decimated. That's an actual game. The other one's called Nakamoto Games, and then the next one is Bosun Protocol. I'll just reply to you so you got them. But yeah, for today, that's it. As I said, well, I think it was at the start of the lesson. On Friday, there's going to be sort of your market recap for the week, where I'll just go over the market, any news that's come out. To me, it's what I do every day, and it's just good to see what's happening in the world related to crypto. I'll probably cover the Bitcoin ETFs, obviously Facebook changing the name and stuff like that to get involved with the Metaverse. But yeah, just keep your eyes out for that. Again, it'll be recorded, so if you're not going to be available, it'll be at the same time. But if you're not going to be available, don't worry. I'll put it up somewhere, either on my YouTube or somewhere else. But yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day / evening, depending where you are. If there's anything else I can do for you after this live, just drop me a DM, and I'll see what I can do. But apart from that, have a good evening, whatever it is, and I'll see you guys on Friday. See you later.